I'm Jennifer Zielinski. Welcome to Republican Roundtable. I'm your guest host today. Max Reimer has the night off, and we are deep into the 2022 election season. We have an important race we're discussing today's show, Hennepin County Attorney. For the past 20 years, we have had a Hennepin County Attorney who has let crime rise and just has not taken control of the situation. Luckily, we have a candidate who's running tonight for Hennepin County Attorney, Jude. Tad, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jen.
Good to
Pleasure
see
to
you.
be here.
Thank you so much for being on Republican Roundtable.
I'm privileged to be here and look forward to the show.
Perfect. And then one thing we always ask our candidates is, who are you and why are you running for this office of Hennepin County Attorney?
Well, I'm running for Hennepin County Attorney to make crime illegal again.
Love it.
That's the reason I'm running. And we've had things just kind of go people have gone stir crazy over the last couple of years with COVID. And for a while, the courts were closed down. They were trying to depopulate the jail. They wouldn't even charge people with crimes. Unfortunately, we have ended up with a chaotic situation in parts of Hennepin County, and we need to get a handle on it. I'm running for county attorney to have the county attorney do their job. It's a large law office. It's the largest public law office in the state of Minnesota. You have hundreds of attorneys, and it primarily prosecutes serious crime in Hennepin County. There are like 45 cities in Hennepin County. Minneapolis, of course, is by far the largest, but Bloomington and Eden Prairie and Minnetonka and Hopkins and St. Louis Park, all this area is part of Hennepin County. And we've had just an incredible increase, unfortunately, in car-jackings. We've had an incredible increase in fentanyl, people overdosing on fentanyl, people dying. The Department of Health just came out with a report indicating last year 20% more people died in 2021 than in 2020. And we have to get a handle on that. I mean, we have to get a handle on carjackings. We have to get a handle on homicides and violent crime in the city of Minneapolis, in our suburbs, so that people feel safe. They feel safe going to the park, going to the grocery store. They just feel safe in their neighborhood. And that's why I'm running for Hennepin County Attorney, to bring a safer Hennepin County.
It's just amazing how much the crime has risen and spread. You know, what carjackings were something that we thought was of the past, and all of a sudden they just expanded in 2020, and now they're expanding into the suburbs big time, even into Golden Valley, Plymouth. We're just seeing them all across the board. It's like we're not getting a handle on what's happening.
And unfortunately, criminals know the system. And one of the things I've noticed with carjackings is you might have a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old know that they're going to be stuck with a serious crime if they get caught carjacking. So they'll go out and they'll recruit a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old to do the dirty work. They might give them a couple $100 for a car, but the juvenile will go in, likely released to their parents. So it might be a catch and release situation. And Hennepin County doesn't have very good juvenile facilities. We used to have a county home school, and the county home school is closed. We don't have a good replacement for it. And I can say the same thing for mental health facilities. We used to have state hospitals for those with mental illness. Unfortunately, a lot of people who are mentally ill end up in our jails, and we don't have good programs to replace the state hospitals that had been out there a few years ago and provided at least some security and stability for people who are mentally ill. So we've got some gaps in the system for juveniles and those who are mentally ill, but most of all, we need to be focused on the victims and trying to make victims whole again, if at all possible.
Well, and just make it a safer place for people to come all throughout, not only Minneapolis, but all of Hennepin County, because we have great attractions to offer, not only for the residents, but for people who come outside of our county. But we want them to keep coming here and feel safe when they are.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have a friend who drives for the Metro Transit. And unfortunately, what's happened with Metro Transit is you've got needles, you've got waste, you know, that's littered on buses and light rail. It's discouraged the average family from taking Metro Transit. And with the light rail now, they've gone from 3 cars down to 2 cars on some lines. It seemed like people knew to go to the middle car because they didn't have supervision. You know, the front and the back had somebody in authority, but not the middle car. So they've had to go to 2 cars rather than have 3 cars on the light rail trains. And hopefully we can be an inviting place again. I just happened to bring a copy of the newspaper. Now, I don't usually carry the Star Tribune around with me, but this is a Star Tribune from Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. What is the headline? The headline is, "A Chaotic Night of Idiot Behavior."
And this is talking about the 4th of July.
This is on about the 4th of July in downtown Minneapolis. It says, Fry, Minneapolis leaders outraged after July 4th celebrations end in violence and bloodshed. And they did have a huge shooting out on Boom Island Park. A lot of families go out to Boom Island Park. Now, that isn't the end of the story. You go a little bit lower,
I see something
and
about,
you have another story. A quiet win. So when you have all this going on in the city of Minneapolis, a chaotic night of idiot behavior, down here it says a quiet win for the DFL on edibles bill. Strategy worked as THC measure is now state law. So it's a contrast of what's going on in the real world, where you've got commercial grade fireworks being aimed from car to car or at people on the street, and you've got legislators, one of whom is running for county attorney, that is concerned about edibles and trying to put it in an underhanded way into a 500-page bill. And there's no regulation of the sales. There's no real regulatory body adequate to take care of this. No taxation. No public discussion. It was put in as an amendment that was a technical amendment, supposedly. And it was even titled as non-intoxicating. It clearly is special interest legislation that should have seen the light of day, at least had some discussion, rather than thrown into a 500-page bill.
well, considering cities don't even know how to handle this new THC law, it just kind of came out way too quickly. But, you know, it's distracting, like you said, from what's really going on when you have that rising crime in Minneapolis where families were celebrating the 4th of July, and now you have violence happening right in the heart of the city. It just reflects on what's happening in our city and in our county.
No, we need to get a handle on what's going on, not only in the city of Minneapolis, but throughout Hennepin County, so that if you live on the north side, you feel as safe and secure as people do living in St. Louis Park or living in Bloomington or living in the city of Dayton. I mean, this is a big county, and I'm committed to making sure that our streets are safe, our neighborhoods are safe, that we have a safer Hennepin County. We'll get a handle on the fentanyl problem. We'll get a handle on the problem of carjacking. My hope is we can attack the problem of illegal and stolen guns on the streets, because it's making it so much less safe throughout Hennepin County. We just need to have prosecutors do their job. Now, what is their job of a prosecutor? In my mind, it is, and this is what I'll charge people in the county attorney's office to do, look at the facts of a situation, They're always different. And then look at the evidence that supports those facts. Is it solid evidence or is it weak evidence? Is it evidence you can take to a jury and get a unanimous? You need to get a unanimous verdict of a jury. So if it's a felony, you need to have 12 people who agree that that evidence supports a conviction. And then you apply the law. You have to have the law. So you have the facts, the evidence, and the law. That's what the job of a county attorney is.
Yep, and it's going to take a lot to bring us back to, I think, that normalcy that we had in Hennepin County. I mean, we've seen it disappearing even before 2020, but it just accelerated in 2020 way too quickly. What are some of your platforms that you are standing on? I know you've talked about the fentanyl overdosing issue. We've talked about gun violence. What are some platform things that you are bringing to this campaign that you're highlighting, that you're going to work for in the Hennepin County Attorney's Office?
I'm focused on victims first. I mean, the victims of violent crime and crime need to be heard. They need to be heard in court. They need to be heard by the prosecutor. I'm also concerned that police work with the county attorney's office and the county attorney's office work with police so that we do have the best possible evidence to bring to court. You know, body cams and squad cams have been a remarkable invention and step forward for public safety. We can examine situations from a much better perspective than we've ever been able to examine them before. And they're critical in court to have good body cams, good squad cams. And if you're transparent as a county attorney, you're going to make those available as soon as you can. And that's what I'd hope to do. We need to do something about safety around the university. We've had parents that are very legitimately concerned about the safety of their young people, family members at the university, and we owe it to the university, we owe it to the students, we owe it to the parents to get a handle on crime in the vicinity of the University of Minnesota. So that's a big issue. I'll work with the U.S. Attorney's Office on violent crime, on fentanyl. A lot of that comes out of Mexico. Mexico gets it from China. And we have to make a distinction in court between those who are dealing drugs versus those who are addicted to drugs, sometimes through no fault of their own. It could be that they had been prescribed pain relief medication and through no fault of their own got addicted to through OxyContin or other types of pain relief medication where they had to have heroin later on and they had to have methadone and then fentanyl gets mixed in and they don't know it. You don't know if fentanyl is part of the mix. And we need to get a handle on that because we have a lot of people dying from overdose. And I'll work with the U.S. Attorney's Office to tackle that. We've got these gaps in the system, certainly for juveniles. We have it for mentally ill. And those gaps need to be plugged. And I'm going to work very hard with the county board, with legislators. I think I'm uniquely through my background, able to work with county board members because I was on the Hennepin County Board. I understand some of the pressures the county board members have in terms of the budget, the pressures they have with different groups of constituents, and I'll work with the communities. Now, as county attorney, my goal will be justice. I'm not going to be political in charging. It's going to be transparent when we make charging decisions. It'll be transparent. I'll work with the sheriff, of course, and as your last guest was indicating, we have a primary coming up. 3 weeks. Well, it's less than 3 weeks now.
It's quick.
August 9th.
Yep.
And there are 7 candidates for county attorney. There are 3 candidates for sheriff for Hennepin County. It's on the non-partisan ballot. So it's on the back of the ballot. I think in some cities it might be on the bottom of the ballot, but it's either on the bottom or on the back. And there are 7 candidates for Hennepin County Attorney because Mike Freeman isn't running again.
He's retiring finally.
And Mike and Amy Klobuchar have had a lock on the county attorney's office for 30 years. And so they're going to have a new set of eyes. I think I'd be a good, common sense, looking at systems that have been in place for an awful long time. I think we should have county attorneys that work very closely with police to make sure that we get the best possible evidence into court. So we'll have attorneys assigned to police departments working with those police departments. We'll have continuing education for law enforcement and for the attorneys so that we have the best forensics available to go to court. So every court case has the best possible evidence that we can bring. Now, there will be, I am not somebody who just wants to throw people in the clink and throw away the key. We have good programs such as Sentence to Serve. Sentence to Serve is a program where you have people who might have to be incarcerated, but you've got unincarcerated sentence to serve. Instead of being in the jail, you could be out building trails, you could be out helping in the parks, you could be out helping with roads, cleaning up along the roads.
And they're usually helping in the community.
Yeah, they're helping the community, the broader community.
Yeah.
And it's a way to work off your sentence. But you're helping the community, you're paying back, you're helping make the community whole.
And also earning or learning some skills that you can use to hopefully, when you're done with your sentence, finished with your sentence, you can use that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're building your skills and showing up for work at the right time and putting in the 8 hours and just helping and contributing to the broader community. So Sentence to Serve is something I believe in. I also believe in community circles for at least lower level crimes where you've got the victim in a circle. Let's say we have a circle. You have the victim, you have the perpetrator, and you might have probation officer, you might have the judge, you might have members of the community then. And you have the community involved with the perpetrator making whole the victim, making whole the community, and talking about it and sharing that with the community, sharing that with the victim, the probation officer, and the judge. I think that is a way that we can address at least lower level crimes to a certain extent.
We're still addressing that issue of crime, but we're trying to bring that person back into society while making sure the victim gets that restitution they deserve.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, having restitution is so important, and giving a good pathway for the criminal to re-enter society and to be a contributing member of society. And everybody understands what happened. Everybody understands, what the consequence of it was. And everybody welcomes the perpetrator back. And hopefully it works. Hopefully that works.
Absolutely. And Tad, one thing as we start to wrap up our show, you have an impressive resume that I'm not going to get everything in, so I'm going to have you go through what you've done before. But you've served in the Minnesota legislature, you've served in Hennepin County Commissioner. I'll have you go through more details with that because it's just impressive, and you have the experience to be the county attorney.
Jen, another way to look at it is I can't hold a job.
Keep running for election.
No. I've really been blessed. I've been blessed with many good opportunities to serve the public, and I've enjoyed it. I enjoy going door knocking. I enjoy public service. I enjoy being involved in the community. And I've been blessed to the point of being elected to the legislature and being able to contribute in the legislature. And I think I understand how, and one of the things I did there is I chaired the Hennepin County delegation. All the legislators from Hennepin County, I chaired that group. And so I think I'd know how to work with the legislature. I was also blessed to be on the county board. And one of the things I'd worked on the county board was to find different ways to minimize the need for landfills so that we wouldn't have pollution. And we came up with recycling and composting and then waste to energy and really minimizing our need to take good farmland or parkland for landfilling. So I worked on that on the county board. And I also worked on legal things, of course. So I worked with the courts, and I've been a judge. I was a judge for 11 years. I handled civil cases and criminal cases, jury trials, non-jury trials. And in fact, during COVID, oftentimes I was the only judge in my courthouse. And I saw everything that walked in the door. And I've prided myself in giving everybody their day in court who had a case. Anybody who had a case, I prided myself in giving them their day in court. And I listened. I listened to the community, and I will do that. But I do want everyone to know charging decisions on criminal cases are going to be without politics. They're aimed at justice. And they're based on the facts, based on the evidence, and then apply the law. And it's going to be done without fear, without favor. And that's what I intend to do as county attorney.
Absolutely. It's a nonpartisan race because public safety is nonpartisan. We need to keep it that way. We need to keep it fair. And that's something I want to continue to see with all of our Hennepin County elected officials, especially our sheriff and with our county attorney, just applying that fair across the law. We have a criminal, element in our society in Hennepin County that's been growing. And we just need to, make sure they know they're not going to be allowed to continue that, but get them back into society as people who can work and who can be part of society.
Yes, and one of the things that happened with COVID is that our census, they take a census at the county jail. It went down, way down. Now it's starting to go back up. But the county attorney has to do their job. We have another candidate for county attorney has been chief public defender in Hennepin County. And in my mind, that would turn the whole system upside down. And it would not work if you had like two public defenders when you're supposed to have an adversarial case. You're supposed to have a case where you have both sides represented and vigorously represented. That's our system of justice. And then you have an unbiased, impartial jury that makes a decision. And they have to be unanimous and come back with nobody dissenting saying somebody's guilty. So it has to be a strong case to go to the jury.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to build in the county attorney's office.
As we wrap up our show, is there any other point you want to bring in, something that you're definitely working for, you're seeing in your campaign, what you're going to bring to the table as Hennepin County Attorney?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the campaign. We have a primary, of course, August 9th. And a lot of people don't know about the primary. They're away at the cabin during the summer, or you've got all kinds of activities. State Fair hasn't even started yet. But remember to vote August 9th. It's very important because there are fewer people voting, your vote will count more.
You can even
August
vote
9th.
early if you
Yeah, and you can
need
vote.
to.
You can vote during regular business hours at your city hall. And I would encourage people to do that. You never know what the day is going to be like on August 9th. We could have a tornado for all I know. And I hope not. But, it's the kind of thing where I think it's good to maybe a week before the election go in and cast an early vote. I would encourage everyone to look at what you see on the web in terms of the candidates. We have a website that's judeforhennepin.com,
Okay.
JUDE for hennepin.com. I would encourage people to look at our website and compare it to other candidates. I am convinced you'll find that I have a strong candidacy, But if you have questions, you're free to contact me, and I look forward to working with the community for the best possible and the safest possible Hennepin County.
That's wonderful. And yep, it's definitely going to be an interesting race as we get into kind of the primary, and we're in the middle of primary season, but as we get to the primary and to the election season, what everyone is going to try to hide, how they're going to try to hide that crime, as you brought up the edibles that are happening and all the other headlines that are kind of making the Minneapolis issue disappear. So,
well, I know that there are candidates out there that will take a really emotional issue and say, look over there.
yeah.
And they're doing that so people don't look at the crime issue or don't realize that we've got problems in our schools or ignore the price of gasoline and the price of groceries. I mean, everybody needs groceries. Everybody needs gasoline. We can't ignore that. We certainly can't ignore crime.
No, we can't.
And that's something I'm going to address. We're going to make crime illegal again.
I like it. And that's your campaign slogan, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so on August 9th, everyone has to remember to flip that ballot over, unless it's a smaller race, and vote for those nonpartisan races, correct?
Absolutely. Vote for Hennepin County Sheriff, and I would appreciate your consideration for Jude.
Absolutely. And well, I hope this primary goes well, and I hope November goes well for you too, that we can soon call you our Hennepin County Attorney.
Well, thank you, Jen, and I appreciate the time and the opportunity to visit.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Republican Roundtable tonight. Again, I'm Jennifer Zielinski, and just remember when you are voting in the August 9th primary to flip that ballot to look at our nonpartisan races. Thank you so much.